Amidst the millions of bullet sounds, only the ticking of that compass could be heard. That child's toy, found on the battlefield, became a soldier's guide in his most hopeless moments. But the real story began when he returned from the war. Perhaps one of life's greatest ironies is that the deepest hopes often blossom in the darkest corners. In the dusty, scorching heat of Afghanistan, in the relentless embrace of the desert, hope was just a distant echo for Captain Caleb Hayes. Months of deployments, explosions, constant vigilance. Caleb and his unit were focused solely on survival. Every day, the same merciless sun overhead, the same hazy horizon, and every night, the same explosions disrupting sleep, the tense whispers of the sentries. Life on the front lines was a colorless cycle, slowly eroding the human spirit. Caleb, once known for the sparkle in his eyes, a joyful man, had seen that sparkle slowly extinguished by the war. Amidst the millions of bullet sounds, only the ticking of that compass could be heard. That child's toy, found on the battlefield, became a soldier's guide in his most hopeless moments. But the real story began when he returned from the war. Captain Caleb Hayes and his team were on a routine search mission in a ruined village near Kandahar. As they moved through the rubble, the scent of destruction, loss, and despair hung heavy in the air. The walls of homes that once echoed with children's laughter were now riddled with bullet holes. Amidst the dust and smoke following an explosion, Caleb's eye caught sight of something small and glinting. It was a toy. It lay at the base of a half-collapsed wall next to a piece of rusted metal. The edge of the metal box was crushed, but the paints on it were still faintly discernible, bright red and blue. Caleb picked up the compass with his gloved fingers. It was small enough to fit in his palm. A simple metal toy compass, its north-pointing needle slightly bent but still functional. On it, etched as if with care, were two letters, L.A. Nothing else. It belonged to no one, yet the faint imprint of a child's fingers could still be felt. In that moment, Caleb, for reasons he didn't understand, slipped the compass into one of his pockets. In the midst of war, this tiny, seemingly insignificant object had captivated him for an inexplicable reason. Perhaps for a fleeting moment, it had reminded him of a lost innocence. The weeks that followed turned into hell. His unit was caught in intense firefights, their supplies cut off, communication lines severed. Despair, like desert sands, enveloped everything. It was in those very moments that Caleb clung to that small compass. He had lost his true bearing, but that compass, ticking softly in his pocket, offered him a kind of stability. Sometimes, even when its needle twitched erratically, Caleb would look at it and somehow feel he was making the right decision. Once, when the compass needle unexpectedly turned in a different direction, Caleb instinctively moved that way, preventing his unit from entering a mined area. Another time, as the compass strangely vibrated, Caleb narrowly escaped an unforeseen enemy attack. Were these incidents mere coincidences, or was Caleb's exhausted mind imposing meaning? He didn't know, but that compass had become a small, metallic beacon of hope, accompanying him in the midst of war, a symbol of his survival, a silent testament to his promise to return home. When the deployment ended, Caleb Hayes was physically intact, but his soul bore deep wounds. PTSD haunted him even after his return home. In his dreams, he still heard the sound of bullets, still saw the dust and smoke. He tried to piece his life back together. That small compass emerged from his jacket pocket, faded, worn, but still there. And on it, those two mysterious letters, L.A. It was then that an idea struck Caleb. Perhaps this small compass was the sole reason he had survived, and now he had to find its owner. This was more than just a mission for him. It was an atonement, a closure, perhaps a quest to heal his own soul. The child's toy had now become the compass of his life. The search wasn't easy. That village in Afghanistan seemed erased from the map due to conflicts. The letters L.A. had to be a clue, but what was the abbreviation for? Caleb immersed himself in days of internet research. International NGOs, war victim databases, local news archives. He did everything he could to find the child's identity and the story of that compass. Each new door led to despair. Yet, he believed that the compass continued to guide him. One day, in an old report from a relief organization, he stumbled upon information about a little girl named Laila Aziz, one of the last children rescued from that village. The report mentioned a compass-like toy, a small, red-blue compass, the girl's most treasured possession. Caleb's heart pounded. L.A., Laila Aziz. The compass had found her, but where was Laila now? The report indicated that she had been resettled in the U.S. via a refugee camp in Europe, to California, to Los Angeles, thousands of miles from where Caleb lived. Caleb didn't hesitate. He didn't think for a moment. He made contact, organized, and flew to Los Angeles. Waiting for him at the airport was Laila Aziz, now a young woman. The traces of war were still in her eyes, but there was a hopeful expression on her face. Laila was now a university student, volunteering for an NGO that helped child war victims. When Caleb extended the compass to Laila, her eyes filled with tears. The compass was her sole tangible memory from childhood. She had never forgotten it. Caleb told her how the compass had guided him on the battlefield, how it had saved his life. Laila, in turn, revealed that the compass was actually her older brother's last gift, who had also lost his life in the war, and she had always seen the compass as a symbol of hope and direction. From that day forward, Caleb's life changed. He began working with Laila. As he grappled with his own PTSD, Laila's hope and compassion for humanity gave Caleb a new purpose. Together, they founded the Compass of Hope Project, providing toys, education, and guidance to children in war-torn regions. Caleb's experiences as a former soldier combined with Laila's humanitarian vision. He had not only found the owner of a compass, but he had also found his own compass for rebuilding lives shattered by war. Caleb was no longer just a warrior. He was an ambassador of peace and hope. That small toy, found on the battlefield, had taught him not only how to survive, but also how to heal humanity's deepest wounds. His story was proof of how even a small object can lead to a great change, how even the shadows of war can be dispelled by the light of hope. Caleb's heart pounded with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. He had flown thousands of miles, propelled by an inexplicable spiritual force that seemed to emanate from the tiny compass in his pocket. He spotted her immediately amidst the bustling airport crowd. A young woman, slender but with an undeniable strength in her posture, her dark hair framing a face that held both the echoes of childhood trauma and the vibrant promise of resilience. Laila Aziz. Her name, once just letters on a faded toy, now represented the culmination of a quest that had consumed him. As he approached, a wave of memories, both his own and those he imagined from her past, washed over him. He saw the resilience in her eyes, a quiet dignity forged in the fires of unimaginable loss. Caleb didn't hesitate. He didn't think for a moment about the awkwardness of approaching a stranger or the years that separated them. This was a convergence of destinies, guided by a small metal oracle. He extended his hand, the small familiar compass resting on his open palm. Its red and blue colors, though faded, still glowed with a faint, almost ethereal light in the bright airport terminal. When Caleb extended the compass to Laila, her eyes, which had held a polite curiosity, suddenly widened. A gasp escaped her lips, and then, slowly, they filled with tears. Not tears of sorrow, but of an overwhelming, bittersweet recognition. The compass, her compass, the last tangible link to a life shattered, to a family lost. Her hands, delicate yet firm, reached out and gently, almost reverently, took the small object from his. Her fingers traced the faint L.A. etching, a gesture that spoke volumes of a memory deeply cherished, a connection never truly severed. She whispered, "My brother, he gave me this before everything." Her voice, though soft, carried the weight of years. Caleb, in turn, told her his story. He described the dust, the chaos, the desperate moments when logic failed, and how that tiny compass, its seemingly random ticks and turns, had, against all odds, guided him away from danger, away from certain death. He spoke of the impossible odds, the inexplicable feeling that the compass was more than just a toy, that it was a living guide. Laila listened, her tears now flowing freely. Tears for the past, tears for the present, tears for the strange, beautiful tapestry that had brought them together. She then revealed her own truth. The compass was indeed her older brother's last gift, a beacon of hope he'd given her, telling her it would always show her the way home, even if he couldn't. He, too, had lost his life in the war, and Laila had always clung to the compass as a symbol of his love, a constant reminder to never lose hope, to always find her direction. From that day forward, Caleb's life, once fractured by the echoes of war, began to mend, piece by agonizing piece. He found himself spending hours with Laila, listening to her stories, sharing his own. As he grappled with his own lingering PTSD, the sheer unyielding hope and profound compassion Laila held for humanity became his new anchor. Her vision, born from unimaginable suffering, ignited a new purpose within him, a purpose far beyond the battlefield. They discovered a shared mission, a common ground where their individual traumas could be transformed into a collective force for good. Together, fueled by a shared understanding of loss and the relentless pursuit of peace, they founded the Compass of Hope Project. What began as a simple idea quickly blossomed into a vibrant initiative, providing essential toys, educational supplies, and vital guidance to children in war-torn regions across the globe. Caleb's raw, first-hand experiences as a former soldier provided invaluable insight into the immediate needs on the ground, lending an authenticity and credibility that resonated deeply with donors and communities alike. Laila's unwavering humanitarian vision, coupled with her personal journey as a survivor, infused the project with empathy and a profound sense of urgency. He had not only found the owner of a compass, he had found his own compass for rebuilding lives shattered by the relentless tide of war, finding redemption not in combat but in healing. Caleb was no longer merely a warrior haunted by the past. He was an ambassador of peace, a beacon of hope, his very existence a testament to transformation. That small toy, found abandoned on a desolate battlefield, had not only taught him how to survive the physical onslaught of war, but also how to heal humanity's deepest, most invisible wounds. It was a tangible symbol of resilience, a tiny yet powerful testament to the fact that even in the bleakest of circumstances, hope can be found, nurtured, and shared. His story was living proof of how even an object of seemingly insignificant value could lead to a monumental change, how even the pervasive shadows of war could indeed be dispelled by the unwavering radiant light of enduring hope. Have you ever met someone like Caleb who experienced an unexpected turning point in their life? Perhaps someone who believes a small object changed their destiny. Share their stories in the comments. Because at Legacy Stories, we believe the most powerful stories begin not just with grand events, but with tiny sparks of hope. If this story touched you, subscribe, share, and help us bring these inspiring voices to the world. We'll see you in the next one. And until then, remember, sometimes all we need to win our greatest battles is a tiny compass of hope in our pocket.